Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. We got a lot to get to today. What do we got, Rick?
Well, we got a mock draft.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champions? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me, as always. What's cracking, Rick?
What's up? I'm excited.
We got some good stuff to get into in this episode. We are going to do a mock draft head-to-head, and that's all we're going to do. We're just going to do a thorough, descriptive mock draft for you guys on this episode. Before we do that, check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Champs. You can follow me at Morgan Colby _FFF. Oh, wow, I was going to say 3 Fs, just _FF. And then follow Rick at Ricky Lemon _FF. You can like us at Instagram at the Fantasy Champions and like us at Facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please take the time to type out a nice review for us and then share this podcast with your friends. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and leave a comment. We also have the draft guide just launched this month. $25. It's got full rankings, breakouts, busts, draft values, all kinds of stuff. So please order it. $25. It's super cheap.
Yeah, and again, if you order it, you have a chance to be in our league.
Yeah, dude.
Beat us?
For sure. I'm sure there's some people in our comment section that would absolutely love a chance to beat us.
Yes, I'm sure. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are listening that are like, what? I bet I could beat them.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
Give your best chance.
In order to get into that, you have to buy the draft guide. So let's do a mock draft. What say you?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're going to do a 12-team half-PPR. I think last time we did a PPR mock. So on this one, we're going to do a half-PPR mock draft. Should be relatively interesting to see our strategies. I have pick 5. Ricky has pick 11 if you're listening on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube.
I was originally going to do 12, and I was like, nah.
You chickened out?
Yeah.
So you're picking where I'm picking in our home league.
I thought you were picking 10th.
I am, but it's same difference. Same difference.
And you're more up to where I am. I have the second pick in our home league.
Yes. So let's get this draft popping here. You were looking at my screen, not Rick's screen, by the way. So we have Ezekiel Elliott going off the board first. I've been noticing the mock drafting section of this has been really, really freaking weird lately with who goes off the board first. But it's always the same 3 guys off the board as the first 3 picks, usually Zeke, McCaffrey, and Barkley. It's in that order in this particular mock draft. And then we have Derrick Henry off the board. So, I mean, the recent trend for fantasy football has been to go with the running back position early. I think if you have a top 5 pick, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
That you should definitely go running back. So I'm gonna say Dalvin Cook here. Yeah.
Over Alvin Kamara?
Yeah. Why did I do that?
Okay. I don't know why you did that.
I did it for fun. Why not? Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've talked about Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara a bunch of different times. The only reason why I took Cook here is what he was pacing at last year was absolutely insane. He was getting, at one point in the season, 20 points every single week. And there's nothing that tells me that that's going to stop happening. They're not going to run it more. It's the same offense. So Cook will probably stick into that conversation, but I start my draft off with a running back. Let's see what you do here, Rick. We had Kamara, Adams, Chubb, Thomas, and Jacobs in the following picks.
Here at the end of the first round, what I would like to do is I'm really going best player available for the entire draft, for the first 8 or 9 rounds for just running backs and receivers. But the way this year's draft is, at my spot here at pick 11, I don't think I'm going to get a good running back with my next pick. So even though I would love to go receiver here because I have 2 guys that I would want to get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Joe Mixon with
Okay.
this first one to just secure maybe a potential RB1.
Okay.
And the 2 receivers that I wanted, back to back there, Julio and Tyreek. Those were the 2 guys that I was looking at.
So I've been playing with, because I'm pick 10, like I said, I've been playing with a lot of different options and seeing what actually happens when if like you're at pick 10 or pick 11, how the draft kind of flips for you. It's like if you're at pick 10 or you're at pick 11, you always have those 2 guys in front of you or the 1 guy in front of you. And so you have to kind of project what they might do. But I'm like, do I go Joe Mixon? Do I go Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones? That's kind of what I've been trying to figure out and then you could also talk about, we had Devontae Adams come off the board first here instead of Michael Thomas, but there's realities in half PPR where one of those guys is falling to pick 10 on 11. And so do you take a wide receiver at your position? I mean, I don't know what you're going to do, but I think sitting here and looking at drafting a wide receiver, in the first 4 picks that you have is not a bad idea, but then you're left with literally, Thomas, Adams, and Julio and Tyreek are off the board, and we both are not super fond of DeAndre Hopkins this year, so.
Right, yeah. For me, at the spot, if it was a slow draft, I would probably try to move back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins is really tempting here because I am kind of down on him, but I think he's still really solid.
Yeah.
I could look at Godwin too at this spot.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Sanders has been getting a lot of hype. He's been going in the first round lately. I'm going to take somebody who's really questionable, though.
Yeah.
Someone with a lot of question marks, but I think has a lot of upside, and that's Kenyan Drake.
Okay.
I just think he has the potential to be a league winner. He was one of the guys we talked about. His production in Arizona last year, when he got to Arizona, was great. The offense is only getting better. An improved offensive line. DeAndre Hopkins there now. Kyler Murray in his second year. I'll take the risk there with Kenyan Drake. He could end up being a bust, but I'm willing to take that risk when I'm at the end of a draft, whether top of it or the end of it.
That's fair enough. Hopkins goes off the board after that. Then we have our first quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, then Miles Sanders at the 2-5, George Kittle, and then Austin Eckler. So I'm sitting here. Jones has fallen to the late. That's not been happening in my mock drafts. Something's been changing lately. Yeah, I don't like Aaron Jones at all.
I don't mind him, especially at that spot.
It's not a bad area. It's just...
There's also another guy that I'm looking at that I think we're going to end up taking.
So I could go, this is where things get a little bit weird in the back half of the first round because a lot of the guys, I'm probably going to have the likes of Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, Chris Carson, maybe Leonard Fournette at the running back position at 3-5. Possibly Clyde if you wanted to go in that direction. So it's a question of who's going to be on the board at wide receiver when my pick comes back at pick in the 4th round at pick, 30, 44, 30 something. 30, yeah, whatever. But so I'm going to have some options there, but it's a question of if I was to go 3 running backs or 2 running backs in the first couple of rounds, can I get the wide receivers that I want on my team, or do I take a shot in the dark and draft a wide receiver in the 2nd round instead of a running back? I see a massive run on running backs coming in that 3rd round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Godwin.
It's a good pick. That's who I probably would have gone.
And I'm going to let the run play itself out because I got Jones and Leonard Fournette right there sitting for me. So Aaron Jones at 2-9, 2-10, James Conner, 11th pick in the 2nd round, Lamar Jackson, and then at the end of the 2nd round we had Adam Thielen. And it was Travis Kelce, Kenny Golladay, Melvin Gordon, and Mike Evans to start the 3rd round. So exactly what I was saying happened. I'm going to start the run on running backs here. So I have Fournette, I have Le'Veon Bell, I have Chris Carson. Obviously, the guy that I want here is Leonard Fournette.
Yep.
Because why not?
That's your guy.
It's so easy to pick at 5, I'll tell you.
Fournette was a good pick. Clyde, I think, would have been a good pick there as well. And the run on running backs did happen. Amari Cooper got picked. So for me here, I went running back, first 2 rounds. I do like Cooper Kupp.
It's interesting that he's there because he doesn't usually fall that far.
Yeah, it's tough because I think there's some receivers a little later that I can still get.
Would you stack Kupp and Robert Woods?
Yeah, definitely. I think both those guys can have good years. They're going to be like the only 2 options. I mean, they're not the only 2 options in the offense, but I think both guys will get 100-plus targets.
Right.
See, Cooper Kupp just ruined my plan because I was going to go Todd Gurley here. But
I mean, he might still looking.
Yeah,
so
probably,
here's if I was you, looking at 11. I mean, looking at 12, 112 and 2-1. So the 12th pick, they took 2 wide receivers. So the expectation and the reality is that they're going to go 2 running backs. My thought is that you're probably going to see Singletary and Johnson go off the board, or you could see one of the running backs go off the board and Cooper Kupp. So
here's what I'll do.
I would say draft the running back there and then wait till your pick because I think Cooper Kupp might be on the board by the time you get to 4-2.
Yeah, and even if he's not, there's a wide receiver available that I have ranked ahead of him.
Okay.
But I do love Cooper Kupp, and I think in most cases taking Cooper Kupp here is a solid pick.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take Todd Gurley here. He goes Mark Andrews and Singletary. So I do have Kupp available if I still want to take.
What is this guy doing?
David John. I mean, who knows?
It's all right. Have a day, 12. Have a day.
Cooper Kupp would probably be the pick here, but I think you could
Mark Andrews and Devin Singletary went off the board, by the way.
Robinson here, too.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley here for sure. I'm going to go a little off the board, and I'm going to take Juju because I have him in my top 10. I have Juju shares in almost every league.
So that was what?
Cooper Kupp almost fell to you.
That's what I was.
Wow.
Juju was the guy that I was going to take at 4-8.
Yeah.
His ADP's falling kind of in that range. It was going to be close, but freaking A, Rick. That's a good pick. Yeah, Cooper Kupp almost fell to me. He fell far.
Yeah, I if I was, again, slow draft, I probably would have tried to get another pick there, so I could have got Gurley, Juju, and Cooper Kupp.
So 12 took Mark Andrews and Devin Singletary. And then after Rick's pick, it was David Johnson, Metcalf, Hilton, Ridley, and Cooper Kupp. So this is where my strategy in terms of what I've been doing in mock drafts at every single pick has kind of shifted. Because I've been having a difficulty with a lot of people have been talking about, how much depth there is later in the draft at the wide receiver position.
Especially in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, I think.
Especially in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. But what I've been noticing is that by the time you get through the 5th round, the wide receiver position's wiped out. Because if you just count the first 3 rounds, you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you're at the wide receiver 16 off the board right now. And you're only in the 4th round. So there goes that depth that everyone was talking about at the wide receiver position. And now you have Juju, who, great pick. I think he's going to break out and have a great season. But if he poops himself, you don't have a wide receiver. You know what I mean? You don't have a wide receiver 1, which is why I took Godwin in the spot that I did. And I think that taking 2 running backs is not a bad play. I mean, there's just no running backs on the board left for me. I probably would have taken Drake at my pick. Had you not taken him at 2-2, he probably would have fallen to me, and I probably would have taken him there. And then at the flip, I would have taken somebody else like Amari Cooper or, something like that. But taking Chris Godwin gives you a little more flexibility and balance to your roster, especially in half PPR. For me here, I think I got to fill that wide receiver 2 slot, and you have to kind of look at what the other teams in front of me need. Each team has, you look at the 3rd pick, they have no wide receivers, and then the other 3 guys have 3 wide receivers. So there's some need for running backs and wide receivers, so it's probably going to be spread. I'm thinking that by the time it hits my next pick, I'm not going to see some of the wide receivers that I see here on the board.
Yep.
But
sure.
what I'm going to probably take Allen Robinson here.
That's a good pick.
Just out of pure need for wide receiver, I guess. So we had Zach Ertz, A.J. Brown, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, Kyler Murray, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and DJ Chark. So that run on wide receivers I was just talking about happened. So this is the hardest round in 12-team for me lately. What do you do at flex? Because I've been literally by the time you get to this round, the running back position's all but wiped out. Like, do you want Jonathan Taylor to be your flex? No. Like, I would take Jonathan. I'd smash Jonathan Taylor in the 6th round, but he just never falls there.
The 5th is around early.
It's 5th is like around
100%.
too early. So it's like there's no running backs available. So my flex has got to be, unless I reach on a running back, but my flex has got to be.
It's got to be a receiver.
It's got to be a receiver at this point.
Unless you want to take Jonathan Taylor with the upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just say something real quick? Why did T.Y. Hilton go in the 4th round ahead of Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, A.J. Brown?
Because that's where he's going.
Woods? And that's just ridiculous.
People are stupid. I think I do really like Tyler Lockett. He's been somebody that, when I do mock drafts for our home league, hasn't been falling to me because he usually falls in this kind of vicinity. I was surprised to find out that I ended up projecting him at, I think it was like wide receiver 7 overall in my projections.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. By accident. Totally by accident. It wasn't until after I ranked them.
You had to adjust and forgot Metcalf was on the team.
And I was like, well, no, I gave them all a good portion of work, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, I mean,
it's the efficiency for him, really.
Yeah.
So I could go Lockett, but opportunity is not really going to be his strong suit. I could go Diggs. Diggs is, once again, another guy who's going to probably be highly efficient, like Tyler Lockett, but not get a lot of target share. You're talking like 7 targets a game, as opposed to, you know what I mean, and Odell Beckham, who might hit 130 targets, 140 targets, and be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah.
But it's very gross here. I think I'll go Odell, even though I don't.
I was hoping he'd fall to me. I didn't think he would, though.
I mean, it's not having Odell in your flex. If Odell plays like the days of old, is not a bad option. After I took Odell, Lockett, Prescott, Wilson, Stephen Diggs, Jonathan Taylor all came off the board. What are you doing, Rick?
Yeah, again, if I could trade back a couple spots, I would love to here, because there's some guys that I'm not going to get who's going to go like mid-6th round that I really like.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might be reaching on whoever I end up taking here. This is tough because, Mostert isn't awful, but I don't know. He's a little concerning for me just because the depth at running back with San Francisco, Darren Waller, who I like, but I'm not trying to take a tight end in the 5th round. Same thing with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin here. Or McLaurin, however you want to say it. I think he's just got a lot of upside. He's the guy in Washington for receiver. I mean, he's going to get so many targets this year.
It's not a bad pick.
I feel like it is kind of a tad early from where he has been going. Like, he is moving up on boards. I'm not 100% comfortable with him being my wide receiver 2. That's why I was hoping Odell would fall to me, or even Diggs.
So that's just to talk about the strat there. That's the struggle that I've been having, especially at pick 10 or 11, is that do you go 3 running backs? I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that went 3 running backs first. And it's like, do you go 3 running backs first and then end up with a wide receiver core of Juju Smith and Terry McLaurin? Because, I mean, the 4th and 5th round, we talk about the depth. But by the time you get to the bottom of that 5th round, you have no depth at wide receiver left. Yep. It's gone. So
I think Courtland Sutton is solid. I think I'd be reaching a little bit. Devontae Parker as well. I think I'm going to go a fly here, though, and go Darius Geis. Just because everybody's been watching the hype videos. But his upside, man, if he just stays healthy, he can be a great pick here in the 6th round. And he could be probably on the same level if he stays healthy as a guy like an Aaron Jones, a James Conner,
right.
Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette. Like, he could be like a solid high-end RB2. So getting that in the 6th round, it's going to be rare.
So after
now
you
set at running back.
After you took McLaren, Mostert came off the board, and then Debo, and then you took Geis and Waller, Marlon Mack, Kareem Hunt, and then Damian Williams and Marquise Brown came off the board. Can I just note that Kareem Hunt has been going way too high in drafts?
Yeah. I loved Kareem Hunt in like the 8th round, and now he's going in the 6th. It's like
that is overcompensation
over
right
Damian
there.
Williams and Marlon Mack, though, probably.
So there is some discussion to be had about the possibility of AJ Green getting picked here. I have not been a fan. I have absolutely zero shares of AJ Green.
Me too, yeah.
In any, even when I'm mock drafting, I stay away from him. Just because his age, the types of injuries that he has accumulated, it's going to be hard. Like, if he plays all 16, I think he gets targeted 120 times and has a decent year. You know what I mean? He for sure. I mean, at here on the board, as I would like to say, a mid-30s wide receiver, I mean, that's great value in terms of what you want to get out of a wide receiver, especially for a guy who can perform at a wide receiver 1 level. The question for me is just whether or not he can stay on the field. So, I mean, I'm not really excited about AJ Green, but it's not a bad pick here. One of the guys that I've been looking at, and a lot of people have been projecting him really low, and I can't figure out why, but it's Brandon Cooks. He, right now on Sleeper, he has 96 targets projected with 972 yards and 5 touchdowns projections, which is only 164 fantasy points. So I'm like, they're projecting him kind of low for being a guy that what did they trade a 1st round pick for him?
Was it a 1st round pick? I thought it was a 2nd, but I could be wrong.
Something like that. But they traded for him. So I'm thinking that the value that they gave up to get Cooks would mean that he's going to be utilized. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I'm a little more down on Cooks because I just think there's a lot of, Kenny Stills is still there. Will Fuller's still there.
One of them is having problems with legal problems right now. So
at the moment, yeah, he'll be fine though.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cooks. Why not?
Okay.
Watson, Swift, Green,
it was a 2nd round pick,
Landry, and then Ronald Jones, Gronk in the 7th, Cortland Sutton 7-3, and then Devontae Parker 7-4.
I think what I would have done if I was in your spot, I would have taken Sutton or Parker because I think those guys are great values, especially in the 7th round. Devontae Parker, to me, it's crazy that I see him going in the 7th round in this mock draft. I was thinking about taking him at 6'2", and he goes 7'4".
So here is kind of a difficult spot. I have a lot of picks between my next pick and now. Some guys aren't going to be on the board, but because of the way people have reacted in the first couple rounds, taking so many running backs, the field is just depleted. It's completely gone. And I feel forced to take so many wide receivers like Michael Gallup here.
Yeah.
And it's almost like right now I have 5 wide receivers. So I'm balanced at wide receiver, but I'm weak at running back, and it's there's just nothing out there. I mean, do I want to draft Cam Akers? Probably not. I mean, I would have taken Ronald Jones if he had fallen to me, but I'm not really jumping on. I think after, let's say, Jonathan Taylor, it just becomes the only 2 running backs that have gotten taken in the last 2 rounds that I'd be willing to take are Ronald Jones and Darius Guys. That's about it.
I think Swift is okay in the 7th round, but I'm still not But other than those 3, I think. And then Kareem Hunt, I like, but I think that's early for me. Same with Carryon and Marlon Mack and Damian Williams. Those guys are all a little early for me. Here at my pick, I don't really need a running back, so I'm okay with that. I obviously have guys Gurley, Drake, and Joe Mixon, so I feel like I'm set at running back.
Right.
I could use another receiver. I'm not that high on Edelman. I'm even less high on him now with Cam Newton, too, to be honest. So I'm not going to lean Edelman there. I think Marvin Jones is a good pick, although it feels like a round early, and same with Michael Hardman. I'm going to go Tyler Boyd here.
Okay.
Especially if AJ Green gets hurt, I think He could honestly be the wide receiver one on a Bengals offense that's going to be probably pretty good next year. Like, I don't think the Bengals are going to win a lot of games, but that offense, I think, is going to be much better than what it was last season. And Tyler Boyd had a great year last year at times. And he actually has played better in his career with A.J. Green there. So I'm going to take Tyler Boyd there. I think he's kind of forgotten about. And Edelman is still on the board here. And so is Sony Michelle. I'm tempted to go Sony. I really am. Just because with Cam there, I feel like the Patriots are going to run the ball a lot this year. And that can benefit Sony a lot. Even if they use Damian Harris this year, which I think they're going to. I still think Sony, like, he had, 200-something carries last year.
Right.
I think there's a chance he could get more, if anything. And running those read option plays with Cam Newton, like, I'm going to take Sony.
Okay.
Well, I was very down on, a month ago, but now
yeah, I think the value of, you talk about in drafts values of certain players, and Sony Michelle is one of the last guys on the board that you have that's going to probably get 240 plus opportunities. You know what I mean? And
240 touches.
Yeah, so it's like, I think when you're talking about Sony Michelle, even if it's a gross pick, and even if it doesn't pan out, he's still going to get a lot of opportunities, and he could still be a solid flex option, especially if you're only getting if he's touching the ball 15 times a game. I mean, you want that on your team, even if it's horribly inefficient. It's still good. It's still good enough in terms of opportunity, and I think he's going to improve efficiency wise this year, just because offensive line is better. And, obviously you add Cam Newton. So I think they're going to be moving the ball. Sony's going to get his opportunities. And I think opportunity here is what you're taking. Yeah, he's not going to be efficient, but to snag in the 8th round a running back with 430 carries or something like that is going to be ideal. Yeah. So for me, I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place, because I do need some running back depth, but I don't really have any options really. I could take Dobbins. I'll just do it. I'll take a shot in the dark. 8th round, J.K. Dobbins. He probably won't work out at all, but I'll take him for fun.
I talked about on Twitter. I tweeted, I think in redraft rookie running backs definitely getting overhyped. Yep. But in your position, there really aren't that many good running backs available, and I think Dobbins.
I thought about Jordan Howard.
Yeah, he would have been okay there too. Matt Breida, one of those two guys, but you're taking a shot in the dark with either of those guys.
Right.
Dobbins, at least the team's going to be really good. The offense is going to be really good. The offensive line's going to be really good. And if Mark Ingram misses any time at all, J.K. Dobbins could have a great week or two. So, good pick.
And then we had Mecole Hardman, Josh Allen, Matt Breida, Darius Slayton, Alexander Madison, Latavius Murray, Hunter Henry, and Jordan Howard come off the board. So I'm going to go Deontay Johnson here. Oops. I tried to click on Deontay Johnson's name, and his face came up on the screen. I'll take Deontay Johnson here. I'm just going to keep taking wide receivers, and I'm going to end up with 9 of them, which is ridiculous. Yeah. But I'm sure I'll find some running backs in the later rounds that I can invest in. But I think at this point, when you have this many wide receivers, it's more or less a situation where I could take an Odell or Cooks if he plays better and trade them away for some running back depth later on. After my pick, Wentz, Brady, Keyshawn Vaughn, Tyler Higbee, and then CeeDee Lamb came off the board, and now you're up, Rick.
That feels a little early for CeeDee Lamb. And I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. But year one, man, with Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper there, I don't know how many targets. I still think he can get 90-plus targets, so I guess it's not awful. For me, though, the wide receiver I would have taken over CeeDee Lamb, who I'm going to take here, is Christian Kirk. I think people are kind of forgetting about him a little bit, sleeping on him. I talked about how earlier when I took Drake, the improvements for Arizona's offense.
Yeah.
And having Hopkins there might only be a good thing for Kirk as well. He's going to be the second receiving option on that team. And he had great moments last year before he got hurt. Fitzgerald, I'm not really too worried about, because even if he does end up taking some targets away, he's going to be gone in a year anyway.
Right.
Or even if he isn't gone in a year, I don't see Fitzgerald taking a lot of targets because, honestly, because of his age, I don't really think he's going to have the year he did last year. So I'm a big Kirk guy. And then the quarterback, I'm going to take
Manuel Sanders, Darrell Henderson after your pick.
Yes, I'm taking Matt Stafford here.
Okay.
If it lets me. I keep clicking on his name. Oh, there we go. Okay. Matt Stafford, we've talked about on the show before multiple times. He had a great start to the season last year before he got hurt. I think it was like 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions the first 6 weeks. Look at that run on tight ends. Gosh. But I think he's kind of...
All we see is orange.
Like, we look at the quarterbacks that went. Matt Ryan went in the 7th round. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, all went in the 7th round. Carson Wentz, Tom Brady went in the 9th round. I think Matt Stafford is in that same category as those guys, and he should be going in like the 7th, 8th round.
Yeah.
I feel like I get solid value there with Matt Stafford.
I'm going to take Gesicki.
Okay.
I'll do it. I took Gesicki here and continued that run on tight ends, only because I like Gesicki there, and I thought he was going to come off the board. Then we had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Ravens D, Bills D, Daniel Jones, John Brown, Baker Mayfield, and then Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So then it flips back to me. I have some options here. I've been contemplating the reality of a Tariq Cohen resurgence.
Okay.
As an RB2, low end.
Is this a PPR mock draft, by
no.
the way? I don't even know.
No, half PPR.
Okay, half PPR.
Way to go, dude. Way to pay attention at the beginning of the episode. Tariq Cohen and Tony Pollard have been intriguing options for me at 11.5. Only because... So for Cohen, I mean, last year he had over 100 targets or something like that, and I think he had 70 catches. And so he's basically a slot receiver, and he's going to get the work through the air. And because he's the backup running back, he's still going to get some work on the ground. So I think there are going to be moments where Tariq Cohen can be decent at certain points. I'm not projecting him to be because I don't want to buy too much into the Chicago Bears offense as a whole. But I do think, like, because I have Allen Robinson, I'm not going to take Tariq Cohen. But I think that there is, if you start looking into the numbers a little bit more, I think Cohen can definitely have a decent 2020 season. Sterling Shepard's here. He's not a bad, I believe he's the first Giants wide receiver off the board. No, Slayton was in the 8th round.
Slayton is the first guy, yeah. He's usually the second guy.
So, I don't know who to take.
I'd probably lean either Shepard or Jameson Crowder here. Unless you want to go running back, then I'd probably go Zach Moss or Cohen. That's me.
Yeah, you know what I'll do? Draft somebody no one's talking about.
Oh, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Okay. Jameson Crowder just got picked.
Yeah, Zach Moss, Patriots D. I took Cam Newton, by the way, in case you didn't get that. Tony Pollard, Tariq Cohen, Jamison Crowder came off the board. And now it's Rick's pick.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted Crowder. I think he's getting slept on so hard. Like, I would take him over CeeDee Lamb, Emmanuel Sanders, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, John Brown, all the wide receivers that went off the board. I would have taken Crowder before those guys. But I think Shepard, too, is falling a little bit, so I don't mind taking him when he's healthy. He is actually the number one receiver on that team when he is healthy. His only problem is the concussion history, but it's worth a flyer at the end of the 11th round. And then my second pick...
yeah, Watkins and Justin Jackson come off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go N'Keal Harry here or Gibson.
Oh, I hope.
But I'm actually going to go a little bit off the board and just make sure I get the guy I want at tight end, which is T.J. Hawkinson. I can't believe the run of tight ends happened, and Hawkinson is still on the board in the 12th round. To me, he's like...
I'd dude.
Cook.
Edmonds, Roethlisberger, Chicago Bears D, Duke Johnson, and then Antonio Gibson came off the board, and my guy is still here. Where do you go, buddy? Penny.
Penny?
Rashad Penny taking my Flyers in the 12th round.
Man.
I needed a running back.
I think that's early.
For Rashad Penny, it's the 12th round.
Yeah, I know, but the dude is like, he's probably going to miss. He might start the year in the PUP.
Yeah, no, he's going to start the year in the PUP.
Yeah.
After I took Penny, N'Keal Harry, Justin Jackson, Justin Jefferson, Deshaun Jackson, Anthony Miller, Mike Williams, and Los Angeles Rams D with Drew Lock.
Yep. That's not awful because you can just put them on your IR spot.
Yeah. If you have an IR spot, that's probably where you can snag them or stash them away. I don't think he's a bad pick because we talked about how, he's a second running back there, and we talked about how if Chris Carson fumbles again or poops himself or gets hurt, Penny's a great option. I think in the 12th round, I mean, between rounds 12 to 16, generally speaking, 12 to 15, 12 to 16, you're not going to get a lot of running backs, and you're not going to get a lot of breakout players. You know what I mean? What you're going to get is guys that finish as, potential low-end wide receiver, running back twos, with maybe a potential high-end running back two in that realm. Like, usually there's not a lot of breakout guys between rounds 12 to 16. So what I'm drafting here is value and potential breakout, if he gets the full-time role and guys don't get hurt. This one is a little bit more of a deeper pick, and it's because there's literally no one else in Philly to run the football.
Okay.
So I'm going to take Boston Scott as my other running back.
My guy just got picked, Jalen Reagor. I think Jalen Reagor could have the best rookie season of any wide receiver this year. Either him or Justin Jefferson for me, or CeeDee Lamb. One of those three guys I think will be the top three rookie wide receivers.
Yeah.
But he went off the board, so I took Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
You know my strategy is usually a veteran quarterback. I wasn't even going to do this, but with Jalen Reagor off the board, I'm going to take Joe Burrow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're yelling at me for reaching.
The veteran quarterback and then somebody who could potentially break out.
Yeah.
I know Burrow's a rookie, and especially now with COVID and everything, I like Burrow less than I did a few weeks ago. But I still think he's got AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross if he's healthy, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and an improved offensive line.
Yeah. He's
got a lot of weapons, and people forget he runs a lot. He ran for 500 yards in college last season with 5 or 6 touchdowns. I think 6 touchdowns. I could be wrong about that, but if he rushes even close to what he did in college last year, Burrow's going to actually be a low end QB1.
Right.
So I'm taking a flyer in the 13th round, but he's somebody who I could probably cut in week 2 or week 3 if he doesn't work out. And then I got to take my star kicker here, since we're doing kickers and defense. If we weren't doing kickers and defense, I wouldn't do that. But I'm going to take Harrison Buckner just because I take him every year.
Yeah, you're an idiot. I'm going to take Preston Williams because you left him for me on the board.
That's the guy I would have taken. But you know what, dude? But you're going to lose to a kicker again if you don't draft kickers.
Stop.
You lose to kickers every year.
Yeah. I took Preston Williams, and then to turn back, this is ridiculous. Some of the value here in the later rounds. I'm going to take Tyrell Williams at wide receiver as well. I had Will Lutz, Alan Lazard, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jamal Williams, Robbie Gould, Young Ho Koo, A.J. Dillon, Carlos Hyde before I took Tyrell Williams. So my 2 picks were Preston Williams and Tyrell Williams. Who you got, Bossaroni?
I didn't know there was 16 rounds. I'm an idiot. I would have saved my kicker pick. But whatever, I don't care. Since Debo's he's not on the PUP, but there's a chance he could be. There's a chance he could miss week 1. And I like him anyway, even with Debo.
Ayuk.
Ayuk. Yeah. And now I'm going up with my last pick in the 16th round. I'm going off the board for this one. Way off the board. Ranked 455. Washington Redskins defense, baby.
You're an idiot.
Their front 7 is going to be so ridiculous. If you have defenses in fantasy, they're going to be underrated this year with the amount of sacks that they're going to get. That's all I'm saying.
So one of the guys that I've been taking consistently with my last pick regularly in fantasy football and mock drafts in all formats, Paris Campbell, Indianapolis Colts wide receiver. He's going to play in the slot this year. Can we just talk about the quarterback that the Indianapolis Colts signed and how much they love slot receivers? He's one of those. Paris Campbell's one of those guys that can shred the slot position. He's very fast, and if you catch him on a crossing pattern, he could take it to the house. So I think Paris Campbell's extremely talented. Last year, he wasn't utilized all that much. Indianapolis kind of struggled to get him involved. I believe he might have gotten hurt too. I'm not sure, but just because, and this is what I find so ridiculous about this, is Michael Pittman Jr. right now he got drafted at 14-7. And Paris Campbell, who's probably going to assume a higher role than Michael Pittman Jr. in the offense, is getting drafted at 16-8. So it's
That's debatable, but
to me, Michael Pittman plays the same role as T.Y. Hilton. He's not going to be utilized by.
Yeah, he might get more red zone work.
I don't know. Paris Campbell's going to get a lot of work in this offense.
I do agree, though. Philip Rivers does like the slot receivers, so
yeah,
I think Paris Campbell's a good pick for 16.
So I ended with Dalvin Cook as my. You know what? We'll go to my roster and we'll talk about my guys. I got quarterback Cam Newton, running backs Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette starting, Chris Godwin and Allen Robinson at wide receiver, tight end Mike Gesicki and Odell Beckham Jr. at my flex. Then on my bench, I have Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, J.K. Dobbins, Deontay Johnson, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, Preston Williams, Tyrell Williams, and Paris Campbell. So my team's a little bit deeper than yours because you decided to take freaking kickers and defenses in this draft.
Well, okay. This is a kickers and defense league, so next time just set it for no kickers and defense. I won't do that.
Wow.
My team is Matt Stafford.
You're just filling roster spots at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. My quarterback is Matt Stafford, running back Joe Mixon, Kenyan Drake, receivers Juju, Terry McLaurin, tight end T.J. Hawkinson. My flex is Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
I actually took a kicker with Harrison Butker, and then my defense is Redskins defense. My bench is Darius Geis, Tyler Boyd, Sony Michelle, Christian Kirk, Sterling Shepard, Joe Burrow, Brandon Ayuk. I think I have the edge at running back. You have the edge at receiver, and then let the rest play out.
You think you have the edge at running back?
I do, yes. I think.
No way, dude.
I would take Mixon, Drake, and Todd Gurley, those three guys, over. Who do you have? Cook and Fournette. Cook, yeah. Fournette, and Dobbins. Your top three guys are just my top three guys. I'll take my top.
I'm making trades, dude.
Oh, I'm making a trade for a wide receiver. I mean, for sure. I'd like to get DJ Moore.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be right about the running backs thing, but there's a good situation where Joe Mixon and Kenyan Drake could poop themselves.
Well, that's why I got both of them, because if one of them poops himself, I got the other one to break out.
That'll do it for our 2020 mock draft PPR head-to-head edition. We're probably going to do 100 mock drafts. What do you think? Two QBs next time?
Oh, I like that.
Superflex? Whatever you want to do. That'll do it for this episode of the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below who you think the best team out of the two is. Be sure to like us on Twitter, Instagram, Buy the Draft Guy, do all that good stuff, and we will talk to you on Tuesday next week, Fantasy Champions.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.